Plan on flying? In order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID. Learn how to get your real ID today at tsa.gov/realid or visit your local DMV.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I mean every age, from here to there and all sorts in between. Jamie Muir, All Sorts, King Crimson, 1972. Been there, did there, saw the concert. Robert Fripp, Superior. Bill Bruford, Superior. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. See how I meant that? Welcome to BZ's Berserk, Bobcat, Saloon radio show. Live and direct right here from the SHR Nof, Idaho studio, singular. And I emphasize with emphasis that I happen to be this guy. I am your conservative Sherpa. And I am guiding you through the maelstrom of Demorat, leftist, globalist, lies, chaos, deceit, betrayal, all of those things. And please note that what you're about to hear tonight consists of my opinion and my opinion only, and tonight that of my guest, which is the Superior Sean Lewis, one each, waiting in the green room. Although it's not green, it's sort of purple, and all he has are brown M&Ms. However, mentioning that, the chat room has changed. Once again, I've made the chat room a bit more intimate and personal. So it's still raining, snowing just a little bit around here, so that you can see my plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room. I mean, look at this thing. Who wouldn't want to sit there and look out that window at the snow and the wonderful stone and brick that's there? And also, I happen to have Tom and Jerry on TV. Now, why that was Tom and Jerry on TV, I don't really know. What am I doing? I am doing the job that fundamentally the American media maggots won't. I am changing America one leftist diaper at a time. We don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, clarity, context, tradition, with common sense for normal people. And with that, I'd like to bring on the act you've known for all these years, which is the skillful and elucidus Sean Lewis. Yay! Damn it! That reminded me. I don't have a good applause track.
You are.
right now.
And you
I'm
know
gonna
what?
have
I will have to say, honestly, BZ, if anyone deserves an applause, it's me.
That's my point. Here, I'll play what I have, and you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I know what you're gonna. I know what you're gonna do. I mean, because this is so sucky. First, let me see if I can. I play it so infrequently that I'm not even sure that I can find it, and I can't. I can find this, and I can find this. And this,
Ooh.
not bad. And of course, and my favorite. That reminds me of the meme that you see of the cat, where the cat's eyes are about that wide. And I
That's
can't even.
Demi anytime I move any speed faster than a sloth.
Son of a biscuit eater. I haven't played this in so long. I am actually having difficulty finding the applause. Well, maybe on a break I'll find the applause or something like that. Hey, this is something interesting. We were talking about this before the show, and folks, you can see us on a literal plethora of places. I mean, for example, I don't think we're live on Spreaker because they don't do live. But you can find us on Rumble. Rumble is going live right now. There are a whole bunch of different places on X where you can find us. My X spot, not the G spot. Sean's X spot on Twitch, on Facebook Live, at KLRN. So all of these places right here, you can find us, but also on YouTube. And we were noticing that, you noticed something. So go ahead, because if there were ever an analytics guy around here, that's you. That's you.
I was just peeking in the analytics, and I don't do it a lot. Just because, honestly, as a host, it can either make your day or ruin your day really quick. But so I was jumping in tonight. I was just looking at the analytics, and for whatever reason, the last 2 weeks, our numbers have been jumping up, and it's really nice to see. It's really, really enjoyable, I should say.
Well, obviously, I'm in chat. You're in chat. The Lost Wanderer is in chat. You can be in chat.
Mission Ready Men too.
Mission Ready Men is in chat, and am I leaving somebody out? Not yet.
Not yet.
So if you want to get there, I say also, hey, subscribe to the SHR Media YouTube channel. I mentioned this last time, and we are 53 subscribers short.
52.
52. Oh, we got another one.
Yes.
That's the past half hour. In the past half hour, we picked up a subscriber because last time I looked, we were at 47. So 47 away. Now we're 48 away, which means we're getting there. So please, if you would subscribe to the SHR Media YouTube channel and subscribe to me on Rumble, that will be a great and wonderful thing. The other thing I discovered is that I now have 100 followers on the Rumble channel. And it should be no shock. I'll tell you what happened about last Tuesday in a moment. But it should be no shock that I am not the smartest knife in the bench. I'm probably stuck to the bench, like sideways. So I'm not the numbers guy. I'm not the tech guy. I'm not the crunchy guy. I'm just the fat ancient guy. So
Whiskey Dale's in the room.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's look at Yeah, Whiskey Dale. There is the Whiskey Dale, and there is the Mission Ready Men. And if I can find him, there we go. There is the Lost Wanderer. You too, not YouTube. You too can be in the chat room if you want to. And look at this. Sean was kind enough to put, there's the link. Now, if you can focus your X-ray eyes on that, copy that link in your eyes, in your head, and then go over to another screen and put it on that screen, you too can jump into the sumptuous, palatial, and wonderful.
You have to understand what happened. So I went into my X account, and because I'm carrying it live through my X as well, and I just threw in the chat room, hey, if you want to join us in chat, go here. So people in my chat could come here. And I forgot that it feeds to your general timeline with chat. So there you go. You see it all.
Okay. Was that bad? That's not bad, though, is it?
Not bad. No. Not bad at all.
Thing. And now I don't know if this is true. He does it when he can, and whether he's able to do that tonight, I don't know. But occasionally,
he can.
Rick Robinson, if he happens to be live streaming this right now, I say thanks to KLR, Rick Robinson at KLRN Radio on X. And he has his own grand show from, let's see, let me make sure I get this right, Tuesday through Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific, at 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. I think I triumphed in some fashion. So anyway, thanks to KLRN for simulcasting us. And tonight, sadly, there is very little, if anything, to talk about. So I'm going. It's true. It's true. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. So because of
slow news week, as they say,
slow news bottom barrel scraping, I'm going to play this.
Good morning. Do you like my special patch? It's nicotine mixed with estrogen, and it also gives me Cabbage Patch Kids powers. Yep.
Okay. Just remember, as I excise this from the screen, things, and I cannot think of anything other than that in terms of things like that vote. Now, usually what I do at the beginning of the show is...
Wait, that's your takeaway is just the voting part? That person exists in public with the rest of us. There's children, animals, fruit that are at risk, couches that are at risk, you name it.
Yeah, fruit bats that are at risk. I'm going to play one other thing, and then I shipped something over to, I just discovered this on social media, and I haven't put it down on X yet. Let me see if I can find it. This is wonderful. Now, I'm going to add to the culture of the show, if you would, right now. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah. Okay. Now listen in. This is great culture, great music, and you can dance to it yourself if you wish, folks.
Ah, yes.
That's free expression.
You know, back in the projects, I think we used to call that the Great Northeast Needle Swan.
That's art for art's sake.
It's expressive dancing. The problem is it's expressing its life. And its motivation is fentanyl and heroin.
Let me stop right here just for a second, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but when this first started, this car right here was driving by. Now, obviously the driver saw something and decided to stop. Now, has the driver gotten it? Because it comes into the frame earlier. Now, the driver came into the frame. The car stops. Does the driver get out to offer any help whatsoever? And the answer is not just no. Fuck no.
I would like
enough
to
for
think,
arts and dance.
Best case scenario, they're on the phone with 911. Worst case scenario, they have their phone out so idiots like you and I can commentate on it later on social media.
Okay, now I'm going to put this up. I wasn't going to play it, and I didn't put it on X yet. Let me see. I wrote before I played
Meth
this.
Lake.
What?
Lost
I need
Wonder
some
asked if that
comments.
was from Meth Lake instead of Swan Lake.
Wait a minute. That's the first of the show.
Oh, geez, man. That was awesome.
Okay.
That got me. That
Oh,
got
yeah.
me good.
Lost Wanderers comment.
Oh.
It's from Meth Lake. Okay. All right. I'm going to try to gather myself. Now, Rick Robinson is in fact here. He's in the chat room. So welcome to Rick Robinson, and that's wonderful. And we all had a good laugh at that.
Whew.
But let me see if I can. What I'm going to play, I'm going to set it up here, and you guys are going to have to tell me if you think this is real or staged. Because at this point, I'm not sure, because this is so over the top, stupid, and racist. I mean, if it's staged, it's made to look like somebody was near the door jam, and they're trying to kind of be covert, but they're not doing a really good job. But this is so over the top. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't be, that this couldn't have occurred, but you guys are going to have to watch this. And now you are going to have to tell me whether this is real or fake.
Fake. Fake.
I'm not seeing you. I am not. Take that ridiculous off if you want to be seen like that. Keep recording, baby. Keep recording. I don't care about her recording.
No, that's totally fake.
I have the right.
His actions are not genuine.
And you see what they're trying to intimate, that there's the doorway right there, and they're trying to indicate kind of that they're sort of peeking around the Jimmy Jam, if they actually had a Jimmy Jam.
I don't think that's real at all.
And I have to say, I'm not convinced. I remain unconvinced on that.
I think that's three actors trying to be funny online and cause a little controversy, which is what social media people do.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's all those TikTokers. And I mean, look, we try to address controversy, and I'm not saying that we don't sometimes stir the pot, because we absolutely do.
Oh,
but all those TikTokers, social medias, they get 30 seconds to a minute and a half. They don't have to explain a story. They don't have to do any of that. They just post that clip and they walk away. They call themselves influencers, and they are. They influence the wrong way, unfortunately. And some of them are really funny. Some of them are obvious satire. And then there are ones like that they're just trying to get views, in my opinion. Now, if that's part of a longer video where they explain that it's funny, that's different.
No, that wasn't anything like that. I want to bring this in just for a second. This is our national debt clock. We are at $36,738 billion. Yeah, is that all? Yeah. Pocket change. And then I also like to remind everybody, you can go to Doge. It's doge.gov, and you could see the savings. 155 billion saved. Now, this is interesting. For whatever reason, I remember this from last week, maybe week before. Over on the right, it says amount saved per taxpayer was about $1,300. Now, why it has gone down to $962.73, I am uncertain.
Lawsuits.
But I'm not. I guess I shouldn't be shocked, and I shouldn't be surprised. It's just sad when you have so many elements that are attempting to block people who are trying to save the American tax dollar, the American taxpayer, a couple of bucks. And it just, none of this makes sense to me.
Let me sum up this week perfectly for you.
Okay.
Or this kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? This general emotion. They will support a spousal abusing illegal immigrant who's a gang member, but they will not support saving American taxpayer money. That sums it up. That's the entire atmosphere the left is living in right now. I think that went down because I don't think they're counting any case that's in litigation. And as we know, using taxpayer dollars, they're filing lawsuits on every single thing that they try to cut, which is even more infuriating that they're using tax dollars to do that. It's not private groups, it's the groups within government, within those agencies that are trying to sue. And what they're doing is using taxpayer dollars to sue you to spend more taxpayer dollars. And when I say sue you, I do mean you and I, because we are the American people. That's who the government represents right now. So when they file a lawsuit against the government, they file a lawsuit against you and I, using our tax dollars to oppose saving our tax dollars. And please stop the fucking planet, because I would love to get off for a little bit. It blows my ever-loving mind that they would do this.
It's nutty. We're going to go into another story that occurred today in just a moment, but I find Lost Wanderer. That's faker than the Korean girls DMing me on Twitter asking if they love my we can rub wrong time GI. Which
actually, though, with the current with the current inflation and with the tariffs, according to what I've heard, is that the Vietnamese ones can only love for medium time now.
Okay, number 2. That makes perfect sense. Thanks you for the explanazione. That's explanation in Italian. Speaking of explanation, this was weird today. Now, the son of a female deputy this occurred today, a shooting in Tallahassee at a school, apparently a really big school.
Tragic.
And 2, I think, dead as far as I know now, a number of others wounded.
I think it's 2 plus 5. I think it's 2 dead, 5 wounded.
Okay. But this is just plain damn bizarre. Okay. There is a female Leon County deputy sheriff, and she has a son, and his name is in there, Phoenix Eichner, Ikner. And apparently he was described as a average kid. He got along with the deputies and the people in Leon County, and he took his mother's gun, and I think that was the handgun, and I believe he also had a shotgun.
Rifle.
Was it rifle? Okay.
Rifle.
And used one of his mom's former service pistols and started shooting at the school. And so this is the mom apparently here on the right with the sheriff of Leon County. And it's just one of those, how do you explain this? And the answer is, I don't know. I have no idea how to.
It's tragic. You don't know. First and foremost, you don't know what's going on in the background. What's changed in that kid's life in the last couple months, because according to what I've read and watched, is everybody, like you said, the deputies, but also the kids at school, all got along with him. He was fairly normal. He was driving a giant orange Hummer, so it wasn't like he was
in stealth
drawn
mode.
in. Yeah. Well, I just meant like personality wise. It wasn't like he was an introvert or, lived in the basement. I have a feeling that we're going to find out, obviously, more. There's probably going to be some sort of situation or happening in his life that predicated all of this. I don't think that this is just, people don't just wake up and do something like this. I'm a firm believer in that. And I think as we progress into this investigation, you're going to find out that something tragic happened. Again, not an excuse, never is. But it would be interesting to see how he gained access to the firearms, because he was not over 18. I don't believe he was still 17, right? So
20?
Oh, is he 20? I apologize then. So
I think he was 20.
Maybe he did have access to them. But it's just a very odd set of circumstances.
Well, and the other thing that I can't, Whiskey Dale injecting some humor here. One of the things that I wish we had the wherewithal within us all to do what I would consider to be the proper thing Maybe not immediately, but certainly in time. All of these, to my way of thinking, a great deal of these are likely linked. I'm guessing, I'm theorizing, I don't have the data to back it up, but I'm guessing that there are psychotropic meds that are involved
Potentially.
in a lot of these cases, and males are the first to be doped up with Ritalin, other drugs et al., because little boys are little boys, and people aren't interested in doing the little boy thing anymore. Little boys are made to be. Little girls, shut up, sit down. Oh, and you're too active. You need medication and or drugs. But you also look at those. I know you're chomping at the bit to get in. Most of those medications, if not all of them, that I've seen have in the small print, and the small print on the ads too, I might add, something similar to, may cause disassociation, suicidal ideations, mental problems or complications, and they're on every one of those medications. And I know you want to get in here.
Well, and that's, I think that's something that we miss on a regular basis in all of these. They always talk about, oh yeah, well, he was on this medicine, and then they move on, right? He was on an antidepressant, or he was on a mood stabilizer, or whatever, and they don't talk about what the side effects are and can be in those. Obviously, yeah, it's been very weird to see the amount of medication being jammed down young boys' throats. And unfortunately, we have a problem because a lot of parents very much do the same thing over and over again. They trust the doctors and they don't do any research. I've talked about this before. My son's autistic. There's medication involved. And before we add, subtract any sort of medication, we do a bunch of research. I'm fortunate that I have an actual doctor of pharmacy in my family that I can speak with and bounce this information off of. But a lot of parents, the doctor says, oh, you can mix X, Y, and Z. And they say, okay. And you don't realize that 2 out of those 3 medicines have horrendous side effects. And when you combine them, the effects are greatly increased. And
they're invariably what you'll discover if you look at one drug, and especially when you have a veritable pharmacopoeia of people that have the little plastic cases that flip up, and you've got, I don't know, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, 78 pills in there. Each one of those drugs needs to be studied because there are clear contraindications that have reactions with other drugs that everyone should know about. And yet the other thing is, depending on if you're doctor shopping, one doctor may not know what has been prescribed by one individual or another doctor. And unless you tell them, some people either don't wish to or may forget, that the contraindications on that are huge.
Well, and like you said, doctor shopping. One of the things that we've seen, you've certainly seen in your career, and I've seen in my career, and everybody has seen this. There are those parents who convince themselves that their children need medication, and then they go find the doctor that will prescribe them instead of going to the trusted doctor and saying, hey, this is what's going on with my child. And then they recommend or don't recommend medication. Once they get told no, like you said, they doctor shop until they get the meds that they want. And a lot of these doctors are very, very quick. And, we found this out with my son. They're so quick to throw drugs at a kid before they even get through a determination as to what's going on. And it's tragic. And again, we don't know if that's a situation here. We don't know if that's the problem here, but it is something to look at.
I found it very interesting. We got about a minute to go before the bottom of the hour break. Whiskey Dale put this in there. Okay, what happens if and when you immediately stop taking those meds? Well, that's a great idea. And then it looks like this guy, who is you, put in there, Dale, it is almost worse than that. So, well, I'd like to hit that when we come back. Folks, I am BZ. You're in the Saloon, and we'll be right back after this. The other thing is that we're going to be talking about, I have a little bit of a soliloquy, I guess you could call it that, that's coming after the break, because the topic of the tonight's show is replacement theory. It turns out that replacement theory is replacement reality. And it shouldn't shock you that I have a whole bunch of videos that buttress basically my argument. Before we go there, though, Sackhead Sean brought up an excellent series of things that I want to discuss with him, and it does regard to autism and doctors and vaxes and things of that nature. We're not going to go into that, and we're not going to tear it apart in great detail, but I have some other things that I would like to play with regard to that. So please, if you would, go get your favorite adult beverage. I have mine. I'm BZ. Sean's in the wings. We'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism, so common today, is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? Coming in November to SHR Media. By way of Big E Jackson, you need to check out Mission Ready Men. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man, as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson, coming this November on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we are back. I am back. Tonight I am with Sean, star of his own show, The Edge of Liberty. If I can find that. Here we go. This is Sean's show, The Edge of Liberty. And when I take this off the screen with great force, come on, get out of there. Come on, so we can see all of the guys here. Oh, there we go. And when I pushed it aside, second, Sean, if you would kindly, pretty please, and with sugar on top and not Splenda, okay? Would you tell us where your show is, where it can be found, and all that kind of good, buttery, political goodness kind of stuff?
Well, of course, it can be found with our good friends over at KLRN, but it's also on X, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, and Spreaker for the podcast if you want to catch just the audio version. I'm live every Monday and Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. And of course, I am regularly joined by wonderful folks like yourself, Rick Robinson. I'm going to have Big E on if he ever stops turning me down. And Jersey Joe's been on. And, you know, so I like to have the team out and about, but a lot of times I do a solo show, and this is the setting that you see, and it's just me bitching and moaning about what's wrong with this country, essentially.
We're a bunch of coppers. We're just copping. All we do is cop about things and complain and cop and whatnot.
Just bitch and moan. Bitch and moan.
That's what we're good at. So Earl has not been on your show yet.
Well, yeah, he has a late night schedule, so he's oftentimes, I know he's really got stuff going on, but if I don't give him a hard time, I really don't sleep well at night.
Oh, okay. Well,
I wake up hourly with night terrors, actually, if I don't harass him every once in a while. So I have to make sure of it.
Night terrors. Okay, I'm going to tell this story because it deserves to be told. I've told it before. It involves Big Earl. You know where I'm going. Some of the other people don't know where I'm going, but my story sounds very similar to this. There I was one day in the original SHR Media studio in Sacramento, California. I always spell it with a K. And I found this cool guy on the internet. And this cool guy kind of looked like him over in the bottom right. That's Earl Big E Jackson. And I saw his social media and I was reading some of his stuff and I thought, this sounds like a really cool guy, really conservative guy. And he's from Texas. And speaking of Texas, I got to tell you a story in just a minute. He sounded like a really cool guy. So I got him and I said, hey, can you be on? This was way back in, I don't know, 2018, something like this, maybe even 2019. So I get Earl on the show. Earl is just that. Earl is a really cool guy. So I find some things about Earl on the show until he says, oh, and yeah, and say hello to Sackhead Sean. Okay, what do you mean? He said, oh, yeah, he and I used to work back at a department back east, comma, what the hell? Sean had not told me that he knew about Big E Earl Jackson.
You never asked.
Yeah, I guess I never asked.
Well, and back then too. So, by the way, that story is actually funnier to Earl and I when we talk about it because we get a kick out of it. Because part of the reason you found him in your algorithm is because he was my friend and I was engaged with him and I engaged with you. So eventually they all connect, right? And I knew he was going to be on your show that night, and I still didn't say anything. And I think at that time, I was living in what is now the studio. The studio was my living room at that time, and we still get a huge kick out of it. It makes me laugh only because he had his podcast going at the time. He was doing his own thing, and he knew he had an open door with SHR whenever he wanted.
Sure.
But the trade-off to that is I also know sometimes you just want to build your product and build. So he knew he could ask anything he wanted to know and I would share it with him. And if he ever wanted the end, he had it. And he's one of my oldest and best friends for years. I mean, going back to 1999, I think 2000, right in that neck of the woods. So yeah, it makes me laugh that you were like, I remember you saying, "Hey, do you know a guy by the name of Earl?" And I started laughing because it's like, well, you never asked. Nobody ever asked. You don't
that
ask.
shit goes both ways. So
loose lips sink ships.
In terms of, okay, Earl said nothing to me, by the way, of him knowing you, but he had to know that you were here because it was SHR. And so it was like crickets, free to eat, on both sides until all of a sudden Earl appears. Cheetah says, Cheetah's in Florida. He's an attorney, current attorney or former attorney. I'm not quite sure which. About 2 hours from where I live, Tallahassee is the state capital, and Florida State University is a major university. They obviously canceled all classes for the remainder of the week. The police forces involved and I guess he ran out of words. Now, like a guy, and that's why I have to be very conservative, because I am issued only a certain number of words per day, and
Correct.
then they conglomerate into the week. And when I approach towards the end of the week, like Thursday is close to the end of the week, I have to really parse my words and be careful, because sometimes I will run out. That having been said, let me mention a name to you that just occurred to me 3 days ago, Sean Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I'm texting down or rolling through my texts, and I thought, I got nothing to lose. So I sent a text to this guy, and it came back about 5 or 6 hours later, maybe even early the next day. And I sent a text to Mike Jones.
No kidding.
In Texas.
Professor Doctor.
Dr. Jones, I presume, which I used to always address when he would come into the show. And he has been going through some, I believe, I could limit it to say some medical complications. And I have yet to determine whether or not, because I sent him a last text, and I want to see how he's doing. I don't want to push the envelope, but eventually, if he's okay, I would like to get him back on the show. Because if there was one guy, this guy, for those of you who don't know, Michael Jones is a professor. He is a constitutional scholar. He trained in and teaches constitutional classes and has taught them for quite some time. And he was known, when he had his own podcast, as the underground professor.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy is smart as a fucking whip. And anytime I had any constitutional issues, I always brought him onto the show. And what I'd like to do, if I can, if he's okay, I have not yet determined that, is have him come on and speak about these black robe leftist anarchist judges that are making these various decisions and proclamations. Anyway, the bottom line is I'm going to continue talking to him.
Well, I think his primary focus was it was Constitution history. I think that was his focus when he taught the history of the Constitution, how, from the beginning to modern day, and the changes it's been through, yada, 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 some case law and how it affects. He's an absolutely brilliant guy. Does not very much resembles BZ, just not as full. And it was insightful as hell. And let me tell you, as insightful and intelligent as he is, he's also that funny. He's got an amazing sense of humor.
Oh, yes.
When we spent time with him in Vegas, he was a laugh riot. And Goofy doesn't take himself seriously. And it's one of those guys who is so smart and does not take himself at all seriously. Makes him even smarter. Like, you could tell that, at least I always felt sometimes when he was talking direct to me, that he was dumbing things down. So as you would say, a Luddite like me would understand.
And myself as well. So anyway, I thought I'd introduce that to you because, this guy is just superior. If I can possibly, if he's okay, if I can get him on the show, you can't help but learn a lot of stuff from him when he speaks. He's just a super guy. Let me throw this up on the stage. This just came out. I don't know if you happen to see it. This is from Shannon Bream from Fox. Breaking. Justice Kagan just denied emergency request from 4 people in the U.S. illegally who are set to be deported. They lost before the Board of Immigration Appeals, and the Ninth Circuit affirmed.
Wow.
They asserted that they were victims of cartel violence and face explicit death threats. It went apparently in an emergency order up to Justice Kagan, and she said, yeah, okay, received and denied. Now, like me, are you sufficiently shocked?
Yes.
I didn't see this coming.
Yeah, no, from Kagan alone. Well, that has to say that the law in which they were citing as their reason to be able to stay and not be deported was not at all applicable. Look, this isn't because it's the right thing to do or emotions or anything like that, blah, 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 blah. It has to do with it is so boldly against the petitioners that she had no choice but to say no. That's the only thing I can imagine, is that she just had no choice, because if they bring it to a full session or even the smaller panel, she's going to end up looking like an idiot. So that's the only thing that she was forced to make the decision that she made.
I found that very interesting.
Yes.
That's in that particular case. And since we're here, we are already going in that direction. So let me add this. This is just the news. This site was started by John Solomon. John Solomon, I think, used to write for the Wall Street Journal, became disappointed in the Wall Street Journal, and then stepped out on his own and started Just the News. Now, there are a handful of reporters that I believe these days. John Solomon happens to be one of them. I also listen to Jonathan Turley.
Yep.
And there are a couple of reporters that I can't think of now immediately because I don't have that capacity in my head, and it's heading towards the end of the week and I have to watch my words. Deported El Salvadoran at the heart of the court case admitted that he entered U.S. illegally, police reported.
Yes.
So still, we have Demorats and leftists who are doing their level best to make sure that they are supporting people that they shouldn't be supporting. If I'm not mistaken, SCOTUS already ruled about 2 weeks ago regarding the 1798, or I may have gotten the year wrong, the Enemies Deportation Act.
Yep.
And they affirmed for the Trump administration and said, yes, that holds. And yet Boasberg.
Well, and I was going to say, they also said that Boasberg had no authority to rule on said case because it's not a judicial thing to be decided for. It's an executive power and it has no judicial weighing. So, and the fact that he still tried to find the Trump administration in contempt that I talked about last night, which was comedy in itself. These decisions are more and more clear. And look, just like Doge, and the left has lost every lawsuit they filed against Doge. They're losing all of these cases when it gets to the appropriate level. And, you know, Whiskey Dale said, wow, Kagan covers the 9th district. There's a match made in hell. No, that was intentional. There's a reason Kagan covers the 9th district, is because they want her to affirm things like this to hope cases go away and they don't ask for the full SCOTUS hearing, or it doesn't reach a full SCOTUS hearing. And this is another one of those cases.
Just see, Whiskey Tales, I just put his comment up here. Kagan covers the 9th district. Well, there's a match made in hell.
Well, and you say that, Dale, but remember Trump's last time in office, he stuffed a lot of conservative judges into the 9th. Not all of them, and certainly not the
certainly not SCOTUS.
Right, certainly not SCOTUS, but he did get a lot more. So the 9th isn't as 9th as it used to be. The 1st there in DC is the worst now. Is it the 1st or the 4th? 4th's New York. I think 1st is DC.
There was a stat in the 80s and the 90s, especially the 90s, when I was in detectives, a whole bunch of different places. And that is that at that time, when I was in detectives, 90s, early 2000s. The Ninth Circuit was the most overturned court in the United States of America. They had at one time, they had a 95 percentile turnover rate when appealed to other various courts. The other thing I want to remind everybody of, since we're talking about replacement theory is replacement reality, and so much can get down to replacement theory, I want to remind everybody why it's important that illegal invaders are not in the United States of America. And it's this: every illegal in the country steals your votes via a number of ways, like House seat apportionment, okay, electoral vote allocation, stealing your money via federal funding to the states, which also is predicated and based on total population, including illegal invaders. So illegal invaders, you got to love them. Diversity is wonderful. Killing Americans and stealing votes. That's why you got to get them, the fuck out of Dodge.
Well, and as I've said a million times, we could start deporting 5 times faster than we are right now, right? And the reality of the situation is we probably won't be to the people who are just here working and trying to slip under the radar for a few years. And in that time, because it's still America and we still have processes, all of those people could probably either be on their way to citizenship or have it already. And that's the thing that drives me nuts. Look, you look at all the people who are being deported right now, and they are not good people. You have this dude from El Salvador, the gang member, I can't think of his name. By the way, Van Hollen going down there and getting it shoved in his face is one of the funniest things that's happened in the longest time.
Oh, God.
But you know what's amazing too, and I talked about this on my show last night, Van Hollen is the senator for Rachel Morin, the mother of 5, who was raped and murdered by an illegal alien.
No mention.
And no mention whatsoever. And it's just gross and it's disgusting. But yeah, these people are amazing. I don't understand. Democrats are ridiculous because you look at, and I said this last night, you look at the last election, immigration was the issue. It was the most important issue. Economy was number 2, right? And they are still bucking this immigration trend that's going on, where we have 1, 2, 3 people who sneak across the border a day now. We're getting rid of drug dealers, murderers, rapists, gang members, all of the dredge of society that you don't want out walking around, and they don't need to be here in our country, adding to the problems that we already have. And then the left's argument is, and I don't understand how anybody can even get behind this. One of their biggest arguments is,
how do you
who's going to pick your who's going to pick your fruits and vegetables if you kick all these people out? And people aren't freaking out about that statement. It's the most insane thing.
The most racist thing said by racists who happen to themselves be, air quotes, minorities.
Oh, I'll tell you, the amount of white saviorism on the left is absolutely insane. These people are absolute psychopaths. Absolute psychopaths. I saw a thing on TikTok. I wish I sent it to you to play tonight, and I don't have it up right now. It is a woman who says, if you're from a blue state and you're driving through a red state and law enforcement stops you, here's how you need to act so you don't get in trouble. As if the average cop gives a shit. It is blowing my absolute mind how far into the dredges of insanity they are going. And it really goes to show you, A, why the Democrats have a 20% approval rating, because only 20% of this country thinks like that. But B, how desperate they are to try to regain power. They are literally throwing as much shit against the wall and hoping anything sticks at this point.
It's 21%. They are always on the wrong side. I'll make mention of it a little bit later. They're on the wrong side of 8911, and I will be illustrating that in just a moment. Probably after the break. What do we got? About 5 more minutes before the top of the hour break. The dude that we were talking about is this guy named Kilmer Garcia, and I'm going to throw this up. I subscribe, if you're on X, Twitter, I highly recommend going to Libs of TikTok. They've got some really good stuff.
Yeah, they're great
on their site.
She's great, I should say.
Oh yeah, it is a she, and she was outed. She was doxxed, and then oddly enough managed to redox someone else, which also I think that in and of itself deserved a little bit of one of those. But she wrote, new documents released by the DOJ say police validated that Kilmer Garcia was an active member of the MS-13 gang and admitted to being in the country. And as if you didn't want a document, for example, here's a document which you can, when you look at the show later, you can stop it and pause it and read it in depth. Here's another document. And so go ahead and read that when you have the leisure. And then the other thing is, this is the guy, smiling, of course. He's just a wonderful family man with kids.
Oh, there's the restraining order. Is that the restraining order or is that the gang validation? That's the gang validation form.
Yep. And so what occurred on this is, okay, so he was validated by ICE. He was validated by El Salvador. He was validated essentially by MS-13 itself. He was validated by 2 police departments and validated by he was validated in courts.
Mm-hmm.
He was told that he had to surrender and he had to exit stage left, which he failed to do. And so there is no way that this guy, hey, let me open this while I'm still thinking about it. Thanks for sending me that in the private chat. God, now I lost my train of thought. It derailed, which is not shocking, but
there is no way that
there's no way he isn't what he's said to be. And you have to use the words alleged. He's alleged this and alleged that. And I can tell you quite frankly what I believe the bottom line is going to be. And again, you discussed this on your show. Monday is going to be a very interesting day in terms of Boasberg has demanded that the federal government step into his courtroom, and they're going to have a tete-a-tete. But I can tell you the bottom line on all of this is going to be, there's no way that you're going to get Bukele, who is the president of El Salvador, who has cleaned up that country, shockingly, where they were at one point the murder capital, not just of South America or Central America. They were the murder capital of the planet. Even at that time, my alien invader friends from Zephron would buzz by the earth, look down and say, fuck it, we're not getting anywhere near El Salvador. That place is dangerous. And Bukele is going to tell each one of these guys, if he has to tell them singly or in a line, you can fuck right off. This is an El Salvador citizen, and he's staying right where he is. And these black-robed judicial leftist anarchists are going to demand from the federal government, and if you have a demand in one hand and a pile of shit in the other and you put them together, you still have shit.
Yep.
This guy isn't going anywhere.
Nope.
And sometime, somewhere,
all these people who are standing up for him, and you look at everything that he has done and everything that he is, he's what I used to call Aflac back in the day. He looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. He's a motherfucking duck. Everything about him is he is an illegal gang member with violent tendencies who should have been deported long ago. And now that they do it now, I love how they act like time somehow changes the law. Like, well, he's been here for a long time. I've seen that argument too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, King's X, he's fine.
Right. So does that mean all these serial killers who haven't killed for years and have gotten away and we just haven't caught up to them yet, they shouldn't be charged and go to jail? Like, cut this shit with that.
You cannot be in this country today on a worse hill upon which to die.
No, I just don't get how anybody. Van Hollen going down there, and it's funny because he left the day all the stuff really started to come out about him, and I was like, this dude is on a plane as all this facts are starting to come out, and DHS released it, ICE released it. You had Department of Justice released the gang information. You had AG Bondi release stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
how much validation do you need? It's because we say it. We're leftists, and if we say he isn't, well, by God, he isn't.
How much do you think his internists, his cohorts back in his office were trying to blow up his phone with text messages while he was on the plane to El Salvador going, whoa, 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 turn the plane around. We don't want to get into this. And he was already balls deep and couldn't get out of it.
There were two memes that I saw. I'm going to show these two on an overlay, and then we're going to take a break. This one I thought was wonderful, so I have to put this up. Chris Van Hollen, Senator, Maryland, and the senator for the mother who lost her child. And so he's smoothing and grooving with the El Salvador tone. And then there's
the Bulls hat.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then there's this one that I happen to create and send around the planet. And I'm waiting to see if it actually goes anywhere. This is Tom Homan. And that's Tom Homan serious. And look, he's perplexed. And there he's overjoyed.
You can actually see him brimming with joy in that
one.
Oh,
in that one. And then the final one, he's shocked.
And the amount of dismay on his face is
my God. It's incredible. Anyway, that's Sean Lewis. I'm BZ. We'll be right back after this. There's more MOAR, more buttery political goodness coming.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Join me right here on the SHR Media Network every Monday and Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast. On this show, we'll discuss news, politics, the government, how cranky we are about the government, and more. If you want to hear hard talk, good interviews, sarcasm, bad jokes, and oh God, that really is me in a nutshell. Either way, check me out right here on the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 on the East, on the SHR Media Network.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God.
Look, it's the fat
guy. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. I'm BZ. Tonight we're talking to Sean Lewis here In the Saloon, you just heard about his wondrous show. It is a show of shows, a wondrous show of shows, The Edge of Liberty, right here. And he told you where you can find his show. It's on Monday nights and Wednesday nights. His show was on last night. I did what I call kibitzing on his show, and you can kibitz too. Monday and Wednesday night, same time as mine. It begins at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern. And so that's what I mean, and that's what I say, and that's the way it's going to go, because I say it. Do you like my shirt?
I do love your shirt. It's very lovely. This is
an ancient Marvel Comics page drawn by Jack Kirby.
What people don't know is that was actually a billboard that you cut down.
Shh. To the moon, Alice.
And the best part is you cut it down when all of those were actually still in circulation, those specific artist styles.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a story of I'm going to tell you a story of intense woe. A long time ago, I had a house in Sacramento, and this was post my starter marriage. And I was living at this house on Mary Al Drive in Sacramento. Nice little house right across from a school. And I was moving. This was 1993. This was my move to up in the mountains in Alta. And this is where I moved. Up in Alta was 4,000 feet in elevation in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And I ended up living there for 28 years until I moved, from my house and came into Idaho in I sold my house in 21, sold her house in 22, and we finally got here with most of our shit in 23. But having said that, back in 1993, I had 2 big boxes, big enough that I can't even, I hold my arms out really wide, and they were full of comic books. I collected Marvel comic books from the 60s. It was late at night.
Oh no!
Yeah. You see where this is going?
Tragedy.
It was a Foot Locker with probably 400 or 500 comics in their beautiful little individual plasticine envelopes, so that they wouldn't get fucked up. And it was like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and I thought, and that thing, because it was so big, filled with so many comics, that before we left, I took the trunk over and gave it to the kid next door.
You probably don't realize that you gave him $50,000.
I had Silver Surfer #1.
Oh,
if you can get Silver Surfer #1, if you can even get it, it's about a $15,000 comic right now. I had original artwork from Jack Kirby. One of the worst. I mean, everybody has their tale about all the stupid shit that they gave away for whatever reason. But I would be a wealthy man. I wouldn't be living in this house if I had those comics and I held on to them sufficiently long that I began to sell them today. It's like trying to sell Tales to Astonish. I don't remember what number that is. Tales to Astonish, a Marvel publication, was the first appearance of Spider-Man, and that has gone in like about an 8 or a 9 grade for at least $1 million. Nicolas Cage had one copy of that stolen from his
I remember that.
Yep. And he had that issue. I don't remember if it was ever recovered. Speaking of recovered, the chat tonight is about replacement theory is replacement reality. Now I'm going to start this. This is 11 minutes, but there's a particular point in this by Jesse Waters that I want to see if I can get up to. I thought during the break, okay, well, I can just scroll ahead. No, I can't, because, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I'm going to have to start.
Spanish class is in session.
Let me see.
Break the gang. I do intend to go to El. Legally worded.
Okay.
It's like when American Dream. American Dream.
Okay.
Salvadorian mega prison.
Well, what is
Here
the
we go.
American dream?
Listen carefully.
Kilmore breaks into the country, gets pulled over all the time, skips every hearing, associates with high-ranking gangsters, gets his whole arm tatted up, gets an American woman pregnant, doesn't propose, only marries her after he gets arrested because his lawyers say it would look better to have roots in the community.
Jesus.
A judge holds him and says he's a flight risk and a danger to the community. And a confidential informant tells the cops, the gang unit, that he's MS-13. And then a second judge upholds that he's MS-13. But CNN says he's just a Bulls fan.
Right.
According to court documents, Garcia and 3 other men were arrested in 2019. He was asked if he was a gang member. He said no. Garcia had been deemed a gang member by the Prince George's County Police Department in part because he was at the time wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and a hoodie.
Garcia's a Bulls fan, but he's from El Salvador, and he lives in Maryland, not Chicago. The Bulls lost 60 games in 2019, so why the hat? Can Garcia name anyone on the team? Anyone on any Bulls team besides Jordan? Everyone from El Salvador knows what it means when you wear a Bulls hat. It means you're MS-13. When you're in Compton.
Okay, let me stop here just for a second. I don't remember on whose show it was, and it might have been replay on, say, Newsmax or something like that, where the people, I believe it was on CNN, were ridiculing, a hat. And what we call those were indices. Those are indices of membership in various gangs. And they're ridiculed, the hat.
It's not just the one thing.
No.
So when you're validating a gang member, obviously known associates who gang tattoos, clothing style, hanging a rag, a hat, tattoo, piercings in certain places depending on the gang. All of these things, it becomes a totality of those things and consistency of those things in order to validate somebody as a gang member. And it is a process that's been going on for years. It's accepted by courts. That it's almost like after you make a drunken public arrest for 50 times, eventually the court stipulates that you can articulate intoxication in a human being, right? It just becomes stipulated. There's no argument. There's no, they know that officer has made enough of these arrests. They've been in court enough articulating signs of intoxication. Even the defense say, no, we stipulate. He's an expert, blah, 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 blah. The same thing happens with gang validation.
Well, that's true. And what it also happens with in every jail, in every prison.
Take every picture.
There is what is called a classification unit. And in these classification units, their job is to sit down with each and every individual that comes into that jail, comes into that prison, ICE included, federal, state, city, whatever. And they sit down and in terms of, they do a classification interview to make sure that they don't wrongly locate members of competing or violent gangs in the same area or the same unit because they have had the shit historically sued out of them for not having a classification unit.
And a lot of these guys, when they get into those classifications, they will claim immediately, yes, I'm part of this gang. Don't put me with those people. Keep me away from that, yada, yada, yada.
Exactly, because they don't want to be mixed or mistaken with someone else. And so all of this stuff was, there's no validation. He's just a good little, I want to get through to everybody to make sure that you understand that this isn't just bullshit. It's the most massive bullshit of all.
Well, and they're trying to, I love the fact that leftists are trying to, like the argument of, well, he's just wearing a Bulls hat. Okay. I understand that certain people are just Bulls fans, but the style of Bulls hats counts, where you're wearing it, who you're with when you're wearing it, yada, 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 yada. When I was working out here in private sector and I was working in a large outdoor area, I used to laugh at the amount of Norteño kids wearing a Boston Red Sox hat because it had the B on the front. That's the 1 and the 3. And every time I'd see him, I'd walk up to him and be like, hey, who's your favorite player? That was the thing I'd ask him all the time.
Yeah.
And of course they wouldn't know one player on that Red Sox team, right? Gang validation. And if you do it long enough, it's been a long time since I've dealt with any of that. I can still roll down the street and pull gang members out of a crowd.
Oh, sure.
Like that. Oh, Simple Jack.
Yeah. Hey, look, Jack Alexander is in the room. Very good to say.
He's got a good brain.
Super people. I want to do this. I don't think it's going to take me more than about 5 minutes. I said that earlier I wanted to get a little soliloquy off my back, so to speak, and address what we're addressing tonight. And then after that, we're going to go into this, because we're going to talk about these peeps. But what I wanted to say was replacement theory is ridiculed by what I call the DLG, the Demorats, leftists, and the globalists. And it has, in fact, become replacement reality. And it's utilized by those elements, those DLG elements, as proof that any mention of replacement theory, is simply, it labels its disseminator another Mark I, Model I, white
Racist.
Supremacist.
Yep.
Okay. You have to understand the fundamentals behind this. Therefore, accomplishing what it does is that accomplishes two goals: ridiculing the theory itself and ridiculing and dismissing any substance whatsoever to the issue. That's the point. But when you come to examine the issue and you blast away the DLG, the Demorats, leftists, and globalists, and the American media maggots, and worldwide media bullshit, I should add, you begin to discover that replacement theory is actually replacement reality, and that most everything in recent years is proof positive, huge proof positive, and it's all inexorably linked, which I hope that you pull out of the show tonight. Historically, we only have to go back to 2016 to realize that, in essence, most every so-called conspiracy theory postulated by Donald Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, has been proven to be fact as a matter. Donald Trump claimed to be wiretapped. Okay, wrong specific verbiage, because nobody taps wires anymore by utilizing a clandestine van, looking like it belongs to the phone company, a truck, and some uniformed guy with a hard hat and a butt set.
Right.
I used to do that a long time ago.
Back in the day.
I never climbed the poles, but if you wanted, well, I never pulled well anyway, but if you wanted to do that, it was a physicality involved in doing that. Well, I used to do Title IIIs, with the old guy sitting in the sweaty room with the reel tapes. And I'm like, stop the tape, start the tape. The stories I could fucking tell with that. But Donald Trump was correct. He was surveilled from the microsecond he announced. And my guess is he was surveilled way before that.
He was talking about it. I would bet money, BZ, that when we saw him at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas, that he was already surveilled. Partially not even because of his political aspirations, but because of his wealth and his international business, yada, yada, yada. I think that it was just convenient. They already had a tag on him once he decided he was going to run. And the simple fact that they denied it to the hilt. I mean, just how quickly they ran. I'm going to get the shirt that says I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I am just a proven right again theorist. The amount of pant pissing that they all did when he brought that up, and they all said, no, that never happened, blah, blah, for years, right? It goes back to, what's it, the 52 security specialist, or those idiots, right? It's the whole it's the same people that signed that came out and said there's no way Donald Trump was surveilled. Our country would never do that, yada, yada, yada. And then come to find out, Barack Obama, in fact, ordered it and did it. And they set up one of the people in his campaign in a honeypot situation as well. If you think that just because the CIA doesn't officially operate in this country does not mean that the FBI does not use CIA tactics in this country, and that the entire campaign bugging was a CIA tactic that they were trying to get dirt on him so they could absolutely beat him. They knew he was a threat. They knew people were going to vote for him, and the Democrats couldn't have that.
We all know that there was the Mueller investigation, which turned up nothing. The bed-pissing dirty dossier paid by Hillary Clinton to Christopher Steele, who happens to be an inveterate British liar, as a matter of fact. The bought and paid for former FBI director James Comey, who refused to allow an investigation to even get to AG Loretta Lynch because he felt Cankles didn't possess intent. The outright extortion on video.
Well, don't forget the Bill Clinton meeting with Loretta Lynch in the back of the plane.
The tarmac meeting. They
were just talking about
grandkids. Come on.
Yep. People
Sean,
forget about that.
What's wrong with you?
You and I can remember you and Clint talking about that when it happened. The former president does not meet with the current AG in private, while the former president's wife and then Secretary of State was under federal investigation.
What is a private jet? A private jet is nothing more than its own skiff to make sure that you can't be overheard and what you discuss within won't be relayed to anybody else. Faux impeachment number 1 because of the phone call to Zelensky. Faux impeachment number 2 for incitement to a resurrection. Russia, all those things. I almost tonight for the show got some foil and wanted it to conform to my head.
Remember when I did that?
Oh, yeah. And then I thought, okay, well, I shock the shit out of myself if I do that and I wear headphones on my, so I ended up not doing that. But, that indicates clearly replacement theory is replacement reality. Elon Musk's Doge uncovered massive federal fraud, illegal social security numbers. It is a blueprint for one-party rule.
Yes.
Replacement theory is one-party rule being pushed. Washington is in free fall. The Demorats don't know what to do. DOGE dropped the most damning evidence of systemic fraud that no one seems to give a shit about. It's not speculative. It's documented. You can go to his website. Oh, yes, there isn't much opacity there. You can actually see it quite transparently. Under Biden's watch, 5.5 million illegal entrants were issued Social Security numbers by the Biden administration. Go.
One of the things that I bring up all the time, what do you think the leftists truly fear right now? It's not Trump. It's not Elon Musk. It's none of those people. What the left truly fears right now is that the corruption gets so exposed and that they can never go back to it, that it becomes so in the face of the American people that they can never go back to it. And by doing that people actually get to taste freedom, real freedom, away from a government that's not looking over your shoulder for everything, that's trying to look at your $600 transaction with your kids, that you're actually allowed to post stuff online, and that you can get a job where you can live easily versus now where it's very, very difficult, and it's getting better, but it's still difficult, all by design. They destroy the middle class by design. If all of that gets undone, the left will never see power again, and they know it, and they're petrified of it. The 10 million, like you said, the 5.5 million Social Security numbers that were given to illegals, let's look at the 10 million that were allowed to just stroll across the border. You talk about replacement theory. What do you think that was? That was intentional.
Getting their ankles moist at most.
To absolutely change the voter makeup of this country. Why do you think they wanted the path to citizenship for all of them so they could vote? Why do you think in local elections they were trying to make it so they could vote locally? Because locally their voting still helps Democrats. All of these things are by design. It's not by accident. They didn't fall ass backwards into all of this. This has been going on for years. and years. And you look at, we talked about it on my show the other night, another side effect of Doge that is wonderful. There is a gun control group, I can't remember which one, who's talking about laying people off because it suddenly doesn't have money to keep going after USAID was crushed. So you look at all of the things that the leftists, and this is why they're backing this absolute shitbag of an El Salvadorian illegal criminal alien. This is why they're running down and filing lawsuits every chance they can against this government. They don't want you to see the truth, and they're trying to stop it at every fucking turn. And they are shitting chickens because more and more the Americans know the less and less they will go along with Democrats.
Let me also throw this into the mix as well.
Please.
Remember how the Clinton Foundation ran everything and then one day it didn't? That's the fear here. What if, for example, like intelligence, what the Demorats are screaming at us? Well, what if our trusted allies don't trust us anymore? Well, what if the situation is such that all the people that are trying to undercut the United States of America and undermine and get these big deals, if this shit continues to be revealed, the people that are doing the contributions and the undermining don't have confidence in the ability of their money to do anything, and then that gets cut off. That's the true honeypot, because if their dealings continue to get revealed, what's the point in trying to corrupt anybody else? That money is lost. Plus, like I said, 1.3 million illegal aliens on Medicaid funded by the taxpayers. Now, this was no bureaucratic oversight. It was a deliberate operation designed to reshape the American electorate and solidify a one-party regime. That is the final end game of all of this.
And also remember, because of Obamacare, all of these states, California has, I forget what the California version of Medicare is. That's all paid for by Medicare. It's facilitated at the local level, but it's paid for Medi-Cal, and it's actually changed names now too. I forget what it is, but that's still paid for by Medicare. So even though it's not federal Medicare, those state programs are still funded, which is why the Newsom administration in California is asking for an extra $2.5 billion to pay for the illegals that were on whatever Medi-Cal is now.
Well, the other thing is, Doge is getting into all these hidden little contracts, and all of these hidden little contracts, they all add up.
Yes.
And everything is buried in such a clandestine and Machiavellian and twisted fashion, obviously, purposely, as to make sure that this shit isn't discovered. So all these hidden contracts, these massive sudden real estate acquisitions, the inflated payouts, tied to a growing network of partisan NGOs. NGOs are the death of America. They are always with a purpose, a philosophical and agendized purpose to make sure that it's all leftist oriented. That's where all this money is go.
Yes.
Elon Musk said something similar to the biggest scam ever is funneling federal money into thousands of leftist NGOs with no oversight. And that's the continuous link in all of this, is there is little, if any, oversight on any of it. It's gone, it's done, it's gone, and you won't
never
be
see it
seeing it again, except that now Doge is talking about what they're calling clawbacks. And if the little weasels weren't screaming, they're certainly screaming now. All these bureaucrats went and absolutely enriched themselves. They embiggened their wallet. The nonprofits became political arms of all of that stuff. And the American public not only getting shaken down for all that, they were left in the dark, and they were footing the bill to be subverted.
Prime example for the NGOs that are out of control. California, look at all the homeless NGOs where everybody who works at that NGOs suddenly became rich and homelessness hasn't changed. $20 billion or more that the state's dumped into homelessness over the last few years. Nothing's been solved, but all of these people who are running these NGOs really made out like bandits. And isn't that what's important? Isn't that what taxpayer wants, is to pay these people more money?
Sure, that's exactly what they want. But the other thing is, okay, then you have to ask yourself, if all of this money is being funneled to the homeless, and there isn't one city or town that isn't affected by the homeless in some fashion, in the state of California, always spell it with a K, that goes into all of the pockets and gets very little of the people there, yet it's sufficient to be able to push as many people homeless into the state of California. California in and of itself, always spell it with a K, if you would please, has a third of the nation's homeless just in that state.
And so you know why.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go to a break. I'm going to continue
Okay.
for a little bit, and then we'll get back to some of these judges, and then another issue to discuss with Sackhead Sean. That is he right there. I am BZ. I am your conservative snurpa. I did a meme one time in Grok, and it came out that I was your conservative snurpa. So I guess I'm your conservative snurpa, and your snurpa will be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome to River of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch River of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic women who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm BZ. It's the final half hour of the show. This show has gone bada bing, bada boom, bada just, you're out of here really super fast. Thanks to everybody for being here tonight. It has been varying between 35 and 40 people watching live. I can see the numbers. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong place. I can see the numbers up here on my side, but it's quite evident that you guys can't see them up there. You know, if I were a smart guy, what I should have said is that you won't believe the numbers, dude. I got 35,527.2 people watching live right now. Now that I got about 35 to 40 people watching right now.
Well, and I can tell you,
really cool.
I can tell you over at KLRN, there's over 220 watching.
Oh,
and
very nice.
So you got that right there.
And that's to you from me to the people that are watching. That's a wondrous kind of thing. I want to continue with my little soliloquy. Let's go back a little bit. The only reason that you would want illegal invaders to have social security numbers, as they do, is to access our hard-earned American taxpayer largesse, okay? And having that to vote for Demorats, the folks who provided all your free cheese. And the only reason to have them vote,
which is stored in underground warehouse in, I think it's Tennessee, all the free cheese.
Yeah. Oh my God. The stories.
People don't even know that exists, but there's a cheese vault in America. It's the funniest thing, but go on.
Cheese Vault. That was the name of my 7th garage band. Thank you for that. So the only reason to is to have them vote isn't replacement theory, it's replacement reality. Okay. And go back. History. Demorats just lost an election. Bigly, hugely. They are in terrible disarray. They are not appealing to the younger generation. A story I probably won't even get to this. There's a story that just came out in Newsweek saying that the youngest generation now is going for the Republican Party. I haven't even gotten to happy stories yet. Look at go here. We're going to talk about this next, but look at the fuck ton of tabs I have. These are just always have more than you need, but those are all individual stories that I thought, okay, if I need them, there they are to talk about tonight if we want to, knowing full well that I will never get to them. Okay, so their policies are insane. You said that in the very first hour. They are people of broken minds. Yes. They lost the Electoral College. They lost the popular vote. They couldn't possibly have envisioned this because there is no introspection. There is no self-examination done then within the first couple of months after that. I'm not so sure, and I'm not convinced that it's going on now. So what they're doing is they are throwing every pre-chosen leftist, black-robed, anarchist judge imaginable at every issue. They were all pre-selected. They know, on this issue, if I go to mom and not dad, I'll get it through. On this other issue, slightly, if I go to dad and not mom, I will get that through as well. Because you have to replace actual Americans of all colors with an entirely new strata of people that you believe. Otherwise, if you didn't believe this, it wouldn't be occurring. You believe they're going to be grateful, they're going to be loyal, and most importantly, they're going to be dependent on you, for you.
I want to go back when you said that they had broken brains. Only their followers' brains are broken, and the leftists prey on that. The leaders of that party, their brains aren't broken. They're just evil. What they desire is evil and anti-American. It goes against everything we believe in, and it will absolutely destroy our country, which is what they want. They want us. They think we've had it too good for too long. They believe, like you said, they're globalists. They believe in the one world order. They believe that because they're convinced that if that happens, they will be running the show, right? Just because they're Americans. It is horrific. It is gross, but the brainwashing that they've done on the weak-minded in this country is unfreaking believable. So the brains that are broken are the 25 to 30% that support them, but the leadership, their brains aren't broken. They know damn well what they're doing.
Jack Alexander, and I'm going to be responding to him here in a moment. Jack Alexander says, my old band names were the Whistling Victims, Anti-Sue Slip in the Tongue, and Buster Hyman and the Penetrators. Those, I don't know, those seem like awfully long names to me. They're really, really long. And Jack has proven that he has, in fact, a potty licentious mouse. Mouth.
Well, he's actually got a mouse too. That's the same way. You weren't wrong. He keeps it in a little box.
That's true. Let's go to this. This is from Breitbart. Judge who blocked Trump from freezing the EPA energy funds is a former Democrat activist. That's what all of these units are. And there's no time to read the article or go into any of that stuff in any detail whatsoever. Oh, I'm going to put this up too. For those of you who want to track Nancy Pelosi, and you, sir, may have given me, I think I listened to your show either last night or maybe it was Monday, I'm not sure, but you said something about, oh, look, and there's a Nancy Pelosi tracker.
Yes.
Well, by God, there's a fucking Nancy Pelosi tracker. Demorat House, California, net worth. Can't imagine how she got here. Net worth, $245.66 million, $250 million is her worth.
There's an app now by the Nancy Pelosi tracker on X. There's an app that they launched. It locks into your whichever one of the investing apps you have. There's a bunch of them out there. I can't think of them all right now. Robinhood, I think, is the one that they use. And essentially, whatever you invest, if you hook up their app to your Robinhood, it will automatically buy and sell along with her. And they have something like a 25% increase in funding. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So if you use Robinhood and you get the Nancy Pelosi tracker app, I forget exactly what it's called, and you link the two, it will automatically invest your money however Nancy and Paul are investing, and you will absolutely make money. It's never gone down. It's always gone up.
God, why didn't I think of stuff like that? Well, I'm not
fucking brilliant, isn't it?
I'm not smart enough, but yeah, it is. The internet can be filled with foul and egregious crap. But on the other hand, it can also be a wonderful link to a world that you will otherwise never know. I'm going to go into this article very briefly because here's proof of, under Biden, millions of non-citizens were given Social Security numbers under Biden, and the only purpose of that is for voting and to get them into largesse and entitlements. Let me go to this. This is from Doge, actually from Town Hall, but numbers through Doge. Non-citizen Social Security numbers issued over the past 4 years, 270,000 in 2021. Now note the factor. 590,000 in 2022, doubled. 964,000 in 2023, doubled. 2,095,000 in 2024, doubled. And no one is complaining. Well, few are complaining, as they should be screaming to the tops of all the churches as much as they possibly can.
That is so ridiculous.
This is replacement theory. It's
so you talked about.
Let me stop here. I'm going to play a good portion of this because this is an Australian, air quotes, journalist talking to Tucker Carlson. Now, say what you will about Tucker Carlson. To me, he can run hot and cold. When he's spot on, in my opinion, he's spot on. Now, this is about a 5-minute cut. I'm going to play probably the bulk of this because I want you to understand this is an Australian journalista.
I call him, and he's a polished Alex Jones.
You could make that argument. Anyway, this is how you destroy somebody with an agenda who doesn't really give a shit about the things that you're saying, only wants to make a point. Go.
So you talked a little bit about immigration, and in the past you've talked about how white Australians, Americans, Europeans are being replaced by non-white immigrants in what is often referred to as the Great Replacement Theory. This is the same.
Have I said that whites are being replaced?
Well,
I don't think I said that.
Well, it's been mentioned on your.
Do you see what already 5 seconds into this, what she's doing?
So 4,000 times. And
really, when did I say that?
On your
I said
show,
whites are being replaced.
You have said that before.
Really?
Yeah.
I would challenge you to cite that because I'm pretty sure I haven't said that. I said native-born Americans
I mean,
are being replaced, including blacks.
Native-born Americans.
Native-born Americans.
And
Americans who, like black Americans, African Americans have been in the United States for, in many cases, their families over 400 years. And their concerns are every bit as real and valid and
that
alive.
was on her behalf.
Yeah, Black Americans, by the way, anybody that's watched recent videos with Mayor Johnson in Chicago and the black voters in Chicago having just a bit of a problem with illegal invaders being the top priority for Chicago.
To me, is the concerns of white people whose families have been there 400 years. So I've never said that whites are being replaced. Not one time. And you can't
believe
cite it.
that's untrue.
So we just met, but when our relationship starts with a lie, it makes it tough to be friends. So let's pull that back. I'm happy to explain what I do think. Well, you actually can't say it because I didn't say it, and I don't believe it. And I'm telling you that to your face. So why don't you just accept me at face value? My concern is that the people who are born in the country are the main responsibility of its leaders. And as noted earlier, when those leaders shift their concern from
Jack owns her
responsibility it is to take care of to people around the world, to put their priorities above that of their own citizens, that's immoral. And they are being replaced by people who are born in the United States. And the birth rate is the whole story. They're not at replacement rate. And so the U.S.
Go ahead.
I just want to point out this was from what, last year, 9 months ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, almost a year ago.
It's a great clip. Look at what's happened in Europe. She said Europe specifically. Look at the UK right now.
Oh,
look at what's happening in the UK and France. France too. Look at is it Sweden or Switzerland? I forget which. I think it's Switzerland. You don't hear the stories that are coming. If you do a deep dive into Switzerland, the amount of violence and grotesque violence that's going on there by people who were not born there that have illegally immigrated over the last 5 years, it is unbelievable. So even if he didn't say that specifically about white people, in general, native-born people are being replaced. Thank you, Whiskey Dale. I knew you were on top of it.
Yep, he certainly was. Let's continue. But you're right. The UK is so far gone. I'm not quite sure it's recoverable.
Population is growing because we're importing people from other countries. And my view is that happy people have children, and a functioning economy allows them to do that. And we don't have that. And so you need to fix the economy and fix the culture and make it so that people who want to have kids can. You don't just go for the quick sugar fix of importing new people. Like, that's my position. And if you think that's racist, that's your problem.
I never called you a racist.
But of course you are suggesting.
Yes.
And I must say, one of the reasons people
it's a veiled comment, but it's still there.
Media is that you never say exactly what you mean. Your slurs are all by implication, and you're about to tell me the great. Of course you are suggesting.
Okay, go ahead. You had a point.
No, I was just saying, and he's addressing this now. I've seen this and I knew he was going to, but that is exactly what they do. They just intimate it every single way that they can, and they never use the word, so you can never say, well, you called me a racist when I've said nothing. No. They absolutely call you a racist. They just use so many more words when they say it.
And as Whiskey Dale points out below, Sweden and Norway are in trouble.
Yep.
Because they went out. They are, well, Angela Merkel in Germany, the ultimate Gaup herself, guilty, overeducated white person, going back to her German guilt from World War II in Dachau. She brought in tons of Syrians, which diluted and ruined Europe. If anyone can point a back finger to someone who invited Islamists into all of Europe, it is Angela Merkel. I'm going to be doing a show on Muslims. Oh boy, as you know, I don't have any opinion whatsoever on that at all. Let's continue.
I must say, one of the reasons people don't like people like you in the media is that you never say exactly what you mean.
There you go.
Your slurs are all by implication, and you're about to tell me the great replacement theory is racist or anti-Semitic, whatever. I've said what I've said to you right now like 100 times in public. I hope to, if I live long enough, to say it 100 more times. I think it's completely honest and real, not racist or scary. It's factually true. It's not a theory. It's a fact. And the whole point of your question was to be like, you're a scary racist.
Well,
and my response is, no, I'm not. Okay, well, How about no more lying in your questions, and then I'll answer it.
Okay. Well, this
Really
is
not a lot
the same
to ask.
theory, or as you say, idea that has inspired the New York Buffalo shooting, where 11 Black Americans were killed.
Oh, here we go. See, trying to lay dead bodies at the feet of people who are expressing their opinions. If there is any series or cadre of motherfuckers that are responsible for killing Americans, it's the prior administration, which had the most wide open borders. Mayorkas
media.
was an abject liar. The American media maggots carried every ounce of water for these motherfuckers.
From thimble size to to a
they
tanker.
Killed American citizens. That blood in a huge pool I lay at the feet, and those shot, burned, dead bodies I lay at the feet of leftists, Demorats, and to a degree globalists. There is no other conclusion.
No,
And
you're 100%
that's
right.
how Trump won.
And you look at a lot of these mass shootings, and it doesn't really matter who the suspect is. Once you find that there's a political background or an ideological background, you can easily connect the fact that they have been ushered in by over-exaggeration from the American media maggots, as you say. And by constantly brainwashing and beating stories into their head that, look, including Fox News, CNN, they've all been sued numerous times for lying. Plain and simple. And they're absolute liars. They're sensationalists. They don't report it how it is because that doesn't sell.
I pointed this out some time ago. That makes me want to point this out again. Say what you will about Fox News. They have gone through a sea change in terms of what it is that they cover and how they cover things. I don't go to Fox News very much anymore. I don't watch Fox News. They're thinking about removing Gutfeld from the Five. That'd be the worst decision you could possibly make. But
yeah,
my point
guy on
is
the channel.
just damn near. My point is this: how stupid are you if you don't tell? Everything could be mitigated with this sentence. And all of the hosts should have been told this. And the sentence goes, remember BZ's if-then equation? I've had the if-then equation utilized for over a number of decades. And then I brought it to the show and I brought it to SHR. And all they had to do was say something similar to, if this is true, then you opine.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you needed to do, comma, you stupid shit sticks. And you didn't do that. Do you not have one attorney worth a pile of turds who could have issued a memo to the people on top to get you out of lawsuits? If this is true, then, and here comes my opinion.
Right.
Which is why I do that at the beginning of the show. I mean, even a fat, ignorant piece of crap like me knows how to do that.
It's funny. Speaking of Fox News, one of my shorts, somebody commented on one of my shorts where I was talking about the El Salvadoran criminal alien. And I said, this was released by Bill Malugin of Fox News. And it was, I think, the gang validation sheet. And instead of talking about the gang validation sheet, you know how many leftists showed up in the comment section talking about, well, that's from Fox News. That's from Fox News. I said, no, that's from the courts. They just released it. There's a difference. It is from the courts.
You mentioned this guy that sadly, not enough people know who this guy is. You mentioned it before. Nayib Bukele. Now, Bukele is the president of El Salvador, and I discussed what the claim to fame of El Salvador is. And I noticed, because even though I am mentally challenged to even sit here in the seat and speak into the microphone sometime, I don't have. You pointed out that one of the best trollers on the planet is this guy. And funny, would it be a shock to know or think that I might have something? This is Nayib Bukele. What about the human rights of a woman? Let's see what he has to say in 20 seconds.
But what about the human right of a woman not to be raped? I mean, what about the human right of kids to play or to be free or to go to the park? And what about the human right to live or the human right to walk in the street, right? But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers.
And this is why the Demorats will continue to lose.
He is amazing. Big E said that he was a great troller, and I said there's a reason that he and Trump get along so well is because they love to troll the media, but they also have a great mindset. When he was in town about 3-4 days ago, it's funny when you see Trump with somebody who he generally jives with, even if they don't necessarily agree, you can see in Trump's personality, he's very lighthearted and easygoing and very, I don't want to say happy-go-lucky, but he's got a good sense of humor about him versus somebody he doesn't jive with. And you're going to see that too with the Italian PM that's in town right now. I think they get along very well as well. But when Berkali was
deals, baby.
Oh, Maloney. Oh yeah.
It's big deals.
And you want to talk about sending a message? She's one of the few world leaders that flew over here and said, "No, I want to talk to you one-on-one and see what we can do to solve this."
Yep.
That sends a message, and that sends a message to Trump too. Of okay, I'm definitely going to take her seriously because she flew all the way here to have this conversation. She's going to get respect, and she's going to absolutely be treated fairly.
Well, one of the things that the feds do, and they have a great way of doing this, and in an interview room, I would do it too when I had some kind of an advantage, is talk to a suspect if you have an array of suspects and say something similar to, well, first in gets the best deal.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk to me now, and we might be able to do a deal. And by the way, my partner is talking to the other guy in the next room over there. And if that guy goes for the deal before you do, that guy is getting the deal. Do you want to talk to me now? And the same thing has been occurring with regard to Trump. I don't know if I can even find it. Maybe for the next show. But basically, there was an article that came out, and it's like from the files of Captain Fucking Obvious. Trump may be in negotiations with all of these other countries to put a squeeze on China. The way it was written was in terms of, why would you possibly want to cut off China at the knees? And we don't get our little flippy, we don't get our buttons like this that say hype
for 42 cents. And you know what's funny is they don't see the end game, which kills me. If you have a weak economy in China and an economy that just crumbles, guess what China can't do? They can't invade Taiwan. They can't spread influence throughout the world. The communist evil regime that kills people left and right that they don't agree with will then be pushed into essentially irrelevancy. And maybe, just maybe at some point that could cause a regime change.
It seems to me that the lost wanderer, and I repeat repeatedly, all who wander are not lost, may have a thingy for the Italian PM. Not sure. Don't quote me right there.
Oh, I do too, though.
But yeah, her hotness happens to be, you wouldn't say that, and I wouldn't say that, and LW wouldn't say that unless there was some veracity.
Look, on top of her physical, not just her ideology, but just how she carries herself.
No, I bet with a glass of your favorite whatever, she would be an interesting person to sit down and just chat about. If no other reason than the travails and the bullshit she had to get to be where she is now.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think that she's a very intelligent woman. I think she's a very capable woman. I think she's a strong leader. There's some things I don't agree with that she said and done, and that's okay. I don't have to agree with everybody. Exactly. But yeah, I would 100% sit down and have a chat with her and just see what makes her tick.
Oh, it would be wonderful. So it's time to go nighty night. Bye bye. Hasta la
It
bye.
is. And all the guys are spun up about Prime Minister Maloney now.
Oh yeah. Okay, here's Lost
The
Wanderer
chat
again.
rooms come alive.
Oh, yeah, it's like, ding! Hello, you're talking about.
You know what's funny is, like at the end of a show, your chat room starts to die off because it's getting late and people are tired and they've chatted all night. Just like your chat room's been amazing tonight. They've been awesome. Usually it slows near the end. You start seeing the goodbyes. People are saying bye to each other, whatever. Not tonight. Tonight it's all about Georgia. She is just blowing up the chat room.
That's right. Like the Beatles said, it could be all about Norwegian wood, but I wouldn't know anything about that. So
Whiskey Dale's going to pop up there, I think.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Just
so if you would, because I'm going to have to go soon, very soon. Bigly soon, huge soon. It'll be so
bigly.
Soon.
It's the biggest soon that you've ever seen.
The best soon.
The
ever.
best soon that anyone's ever seen ever on this
It'll
planet.
be bigger and better than soon. Any soon you've ever seen.
We're
Soon.
going to build back soon better than the
Oh.
Biden administration ever sooned ever in their life.
You can't believe the soon that will occur soonly. So, Sackhead Sean, tell us. Yeah, okay. Good point. You can't see me sitting. I can do it down here.
We're going to go soon. It's going to be late. It's going to be amazing. People are going to love it. The soon is going to sooner than any soon is ever soonest.
That's right. So, if you would please,
Monday.
He's still on this kick. Look down below. This is from Lost Wanderer.
Oh, Lost Wanderer is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Monday and Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. The Edge of Liberty is the name of my show, and you can catch it on X, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, and Facebook Live. And if you don't get that, I'm on Apple Podcasts, and I am on Google Podcast and Spreaker, and you can catch it all right there. These guys are going nuts. It's just awesome. Thank you, BZ, as always, for having me.
All you guys and gals that have been in chat tonight,
they deserve a ding.
Oh, God, yeah. Where am I?
The chat room's been off the hook tonight.
Oh, well, that was crappy. What the hell?
Send it again.
God dang. Okay.
Tomorrow, every Monday and Wednesday, Whiskey Dale. Every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Yep. And there we go. And let me see. Today's Thursday. What show do we have tomorrow?
So tomorrow morning you have tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night you have Jersey Joe Reaver Common Sense, 6 p.m. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 on the East Coast. You have Mission Ready Men with Big E. Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast. You have the Reaver Common Sense with Jersey Joe. Ha ha!
And there we go. And Mission Ready Men and everybody who was here tonight. Thank you ever so kindly. I'll be cogitating over the weekend, and then Monday, not Sunday, but
Monday.
It's breaking up that way. Yeah, people are not. Thank God they don't have to pay for us. Listen to us.
It's going to be Monday. It's going to be a good Monday. You're going to love it. It's going to be amazing.
Like a Monday you've never seen before in your life. Like
that's Georgia. She wants a piece of Elon. We got to keep them separated, but that's okay.
I forgot this. Oh my God. The Lost Wanderer. Sunday is his show.
Sunday.
So there is a Sunday. The Lost Wanderer on at KLRN Radio.
And I tell everybody, if you get a chance, you got to check out all the shows on KLRN. There's so many fun, great shows on KLRN. Lost Wanderer show is awesome as well. I love the D&D stuff over there. That's I 100% am a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, so I love that as well. You got to check them out.
I asked Lost Wanderer for a promo, so he's going to make one and send it to me. Do you recall?
I have to make him one for SHR and send it to him, so that's okay.
Do you recall before we go? Do you recall I told you I was going to make you a promo because the current promo that I have says that you're on Monday and Friday nights, and now
I haven't updated my own sound
and
clip.
And you sent me your music bed for that, and again, thank you for that. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, would you believe that I I hired 2 separate voices to
porn stars
do your voiceover. Both came back and I hated both of them.
No way.
Yeah. So because they sound, when what they sent me is not what I asked for.
Do you want to send me the script you sent and I'll just read it with my accent? That's just what you're looking for?
Yeah, of course it is. So I'm going to give it one more time.
Okay.
One more time. And if I can't get it, then I'm turning it back over to you.
I'm just saying, BZ, if you want to pay me to make my own voiceover for my own promotion on your show, I'm here for it. Really.
Oh, wait, look what Lost Wanderer said. Hey, I created a new promo tonight for SHR.
Yeah.
So God bless you, sir.
Awesome.
God bless you. We appreciate that. And
everyone, reach out to me this weekend because I get time this weekend. We can collaborate on a few things.
Okay. That's a good idea. And, what the hell? Let me just admit it right now up front. I am going to ask for one more voiceover. Why don't you just see if you can do one? And if it's up to your satisfaction, I'll wait for this guy to come back and then I'll play it to you. And then you decide which one you like.
Send me the script.
Yeah.
Send me the script. I want to do it in how you want it to be done.
Oh, actually, I just took the script that you had. One of these guys, and then all I did is change the dates. Okay, change the days.
Whiskey Dale's throwing it out there too.
The times there. Oh, really? Huh. Okay, I'm not sure I have your email, Whiskey Dale. I forget if Whiskey Dale. Whiskey Dale, are you on X? Because if you're on X Twitter, I can send you a message. And I could even go so far as to send you the script. And then I'll have you vetted professionally and seriously by this gentleman over here. and he'll see if you make the grade. He says, I have a mic.
Whiskey Dale at 2, the number 2 against tyranny on X. If you want to send me a message and we can connect.
Okay. At Whiskey Dale. All right, cool. Well, I went over time, but I had fun doing it. And I always have fun. Fine. I have
fine. You have a fine time is what you were trying to say right there.
Right. Yeah. Nothing like fine fish steins at fine steins fish spines. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and say that 3 times very fast. I'll have a new garage band for you next week.
I was going to say
that was not my garage band. So wait a minute, Sean, professional Lost Wanderer. You injure me. You know
what's funny is everyone sees this side of Sackhead Sean, the guy who's slipping bourbon and having a good time on the show. BZ will tell you, watch me at events. Watch me when we're actually producing. Watch me when we're at like things like Freedom Fest, where we're going for 3 days in a row, and I am cracking whips on people to be on time, make sure things are I can be professional. I just choose not to be on a regular basis.
Well, and it's not the soul shindig anymore. We all have jobs and work and paychecks and bills and all that stuff.
I'll tell you what, though, I do miss those days, man. I miss those days when we were going to events. I miss those days when we were covering. So some of my funnest memories were at Freedom Fest when we were just having a blast and knocking out 20 interviews a day, and it was a good time.
You want to hear something really weird now that you reminded me of that? Guess who sent me a message through X?
Who?
Noreen Dillon.
Me too.
And said something similar to, you guys were so much fucking fun. Okay, she didn't say fucking.
No, she would never, ever. She's too nice.
You guys were so much fun. I want to know if you're coming back. And I said, well, in the immediate future that I see, I don't, that she sent me that?
Yeah.
Oh, 4 or 5 days ago, maybe a week ago, something like that. And then we had a great tete-a-tete back and forth saying, okay, we love doing this. You were a ton of fun. Freedom Fest was a ton of fun. Sackhead Clint, he's doing something else. You're working. I'm not even in the SHR studio anymore. I said, but if we could somehow manage it to go back to a Freedom Fest, oh my God.
In a second.
That was a ton of fun. And, hey, I was only privy to see some of the people that were there. I only worked Freedom Fest with you guys at SHR for 2 years, but we saw Ken Norton. George Foreman. I'm sorry. George Foreman. Why did my brain go to Ken Norton? I do not know.
I don't know where you're going with that, to be honest.
I don't know. So we saw George Foreman, John Stossel. We got pictures taken with Larry Elder. Michael Medved sat down.
Mr. Forbes,
Steve Forbes
interviewed with us.
Back bourbon with Steve Forbes in front of his bodyguard.
And I still have the wooden case from the bourbon that the bourbon was in that he signed. I still have that here somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, I bet it's right behind you on the bookcase somewhere.
Actually, I think I sealed it so it doesn't rot.
Ah, damn it, Jim. And then you also saw some guys yourself. Who's the guy from Peranto? Chris Peranto from Benghazi. Yeah, he came by and you guys chatted.
Yeah, I covered Trump when he was there, and we all thought he was going to talk about business, and he was talking about immigration, and that's when I said on the air in one of our live shows that night, I said, I think Trump's going to run for office. Because he was supposed to be there for business, and he gave a speech that was unbelievably political. And I said, I think Trump's going to run. And that was the July before he came down the escalator.
Ah, okay. So he did that 2016. You were there 2015 then.
Yeah, that was on Main Street. No. That was in 2016 when we were on Main Street at Freedom Fest. We were in Media Row.
Oh, okay. Alrighty then. I won't even tell you.
That was the year the professor and Ken were with us.
And me?
Well, I said us. I meant you.
Okay. Alrighty. Rick Robinson. What the hell? Rick Robinson is still here. Rick Robinson. It's 1:12. No, I'm sorry. It's 12:12 where you are right now in Central Time, and you are still up. Damn, you're a better man than me, Gunga Din. Well, I got to wrap this up. I was having a great time. So thanks, Sean, for being here. Appreciate it.
Hey, I will tell you, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
It is always a pleasure. And with me, I got to go. I got to leave. I got to do this. I got to play this. And then I'll be hasta la bye-bye. Something like that.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And that's where we are right now. And what? So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the long form, the 12 minutes or 13 minutes of overtime on PZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show on tonight. It is Thursday night. Now, it's still Thursday night. It's still April 17th, the year of our Lord 2025. But to the 40 people and 40 more people who were listening live, actually, it was over 10,000 people that were listening live tonight. So to the 10,000 people, thank you so kindly for being here tonight. Okay, that's a lie. Sorry. Anyway, thanks for being here. And as per normal, promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, also by Shure and Electra Voice microphones. That's what this is right here, an Electra Voice microphone. And also the people that make my mixer, Arrakis. I have the Arc Talk Blue 8, as pictured below. And thanks to the Pratt & Whitney Dependable Engine Company providing thrust you can trust. And thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than 10 minutes, about 25 feet that way. Everyone, God bless, take care, be safe.
Everybody quiet down. now. Get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night and good luck.